In this video, we're going to work on the server we set up in a previous video, a Linux Ubuntu server, and we're going to make use of a program called GIT. And Git, G-I-T, is a version control system, and so you can, as you develop your software, you can have it save the changes as you go, and then multiple people can work on the same program at the same time, and the changes, if there's any conflicts, can be merged together. And what it does is, if there's some sort of problem on down the road, you can roll back your changes and you can see a history of what changes have been made. So almost all professionals use software, either Git or other similar products like Subversion. So we're going to try Git out. So get your Ubuntu server running, grab the IP address if you need to, launch PuTTY if you're on a Windows machine, or you can use SSH on an OS X machine, and load in your settings from before and just make sure you have a matching IP address for your particular server, and then open. And then for these commands, we'll log in as a regular user. JDO is the account we have. And okay, so we're logged in here, and you can see where we're at with pwd. So I'm in the JDO directory. We can see what's there with the ls command. So I have a project folder. So I could get into that, but I think I'll just create a new folder here called Git Hello, just because we're going to be testing Git with the Hello World program. So we'll change into that folder, and now that folder's empty. And so what we want to do, there's a couple of things you need to do, and if it's on the same server, you can just do this one time only. But if you move to a different machine, you'll need to redo these starting commands. Well, first of all, we need to make sure Git is installed. So we say git -- version, and there we see it is installed in the version we have. If it weren't installed, you would need to log on as the Ubuntu user and give the command sudo, let me type it out for you, apt -get install git, like that. And so that command would install it, but you need to be logged in as the Ubuntu user, not the JDO user, for that operation. Okay, so we see that we have Git on our system. We see the version. What else do we need to do? Well, another thing we need to do is git config --list. And we don't see anything there, so that tells us we haven't configured the username and email yet, and that's part of what's required when you use Git, so it can keep track of who is committing what software. So to do that, you can either do it on a project by project basis, or you can set the config for to be global, and then it will remember it for all of your projects on this particular server. And so we'll say user.name, and then you'll want in quote marks to put your name, ending quote mark, and then git config -- once again -- global, so we don't have to do this again, user.email, and then whatever your email is. Now the name and the email can be fictitious names if you want them to be, or it doesn't, it's just whatever you want to be associated with the commits on this particular project. Okay, so I will put in my Mansfield edu email address, but use your own, of course. And now if we go up a couple commands, git config -- list, I just hit the up arrow key a couple times, and now we see it has been configured with a username and email. And if you got something wrong there, you can just retype the command. All right, now we need to create a project that we're going to work on, and initialize a new repository. So say, maybe we're going to have several different Git hello type projects going on. That's a little unrealistic, I guess. But anyway, how do you create a new Git project? Well, as you're seeing, the keyword that you give is Git, and then the command is init, and then whatever you want to name this particular project. And so I'm going to name it Git test. All right, and now if we do ls, you see there's a new directory that's been created called Git test. And let's cd into that directory. And ls to see what's there. We don't see anything there, but try it again. Do ls-la. And you'll see there is a hidden directory called .git that will contain all of the version control tracking information in that folder. Okay, so very good. That's the way it's supposed to look. Let's go ahead and type git and then status. So you give this command quite a bit. And let me free up a little room here and make this a little larger. Yeah, I don't know if it looks good that far down. Let me go like that. Okay, so it says git status on branch master. This was initial commit, nothing to commit yet. And if you want to do a commit, you first need to add some files that you want to track the changes being made with the git add command. Okay, so we don't have anything in there yet to track. So that'll be our next step. Let's go ahead and create a simple Java program. I'll use Vim to do this. And I'll name this program hello.java, capital H. Get in the insert mode, type in I. So now we're in the insert mode, and we can just go ahead and type in our Java program. Okay, I'm just going to pause the video till I get this typed in. Okay, so I've just typed in a real simple little hello world program, and pause the video if you need to type that in, and then hit escape to get out of the insert mode, and then :WQ to write and quit if you're using Vim. Okay, so there we have our program. Now if we say git status, you'll see it says we have untracked files. All right, and so it sees there is a file there, but we're not tracking it yet. It's not part of our repository yet. So how do we add that? Well, as you can see in the comments there, it says type git add and then the name of the file. Now you could add, say you had several files, you can add them all at once by putting git add asterisk like that. But let me just do them individually for now. All right, and now if we type git status again, we see it says we have a new file and it's turned green, hello.java. Okay, great. Now, you could keep working on your project and adding other files, and it will be tracking them. And then after you kind of finish a small section of your project, each small section that you finish, maybe you add a new method and you test it out and it seems to be working good. And so at that point, you want to do a commit. And so to do a commit, you do it like this. Now there are actually some shortcuts to this, but we'll go ahead and do it this way. So we'll just say we have the initial commit going on. So just put your message, whatever you want to be associated with this commit, inside the quote marks. All right, now if we do git status again, it'll say, okay, we're on branch master. Nothing to commit, working directory clean. So that means it's recorded all the changes you've made, associated it with this commit. A lot of times in Java, you go and compile your program. So you'd say Java C and then the name of your program. And that compiles it. And when you compile it, it creates a class file. You don't really want that as part of your repository because it can always be regenerated by recompiling your program. You just mainly want your source code files in your repository. So how can we, if we go get status, it's now going to say, well, you didn't include hello.class yet. And, to make it so that we can just add a bunch of files at once using the asterisk shortcut and not include things like class files, what we do is we create a file called git ignore. So we'll use Vim to do that. And it starts with a period, git ignore, all one word. Get in the insert mode by pressing an I. And what do you put in this? Well, you put everything you want Git to ignore. And so we want to ignore all the class files. And then maybe you're going to be doing some jar files. You don't really want to save those. So asterisk.jar. And, maybe you're going to do some JSP type programming or something. So you might want to ignore the web archive files, .war. And then anything else you can think of that you don't want included as part of your repository, you put in this file. So escape :WQ to write and quit. Okay, and so now we can say git status. And it says, okay, well, that hello class is being ignored, but we haven't included the .git ignore file. Well, I'd like to include that. You don't have to, but we'll say git add .git ignore as part of our repository. Now if we say git status, it says, well, we have a new file and it is now tracking that file. So we've made kind of another, sort of minor change to our project. So we'll do another commit. And I'll just say to ignore the class files primarily. That's why we did it. All right. Now, once again, we'll do the status command. And it says nothing to commit, working directory clean. So that's what we like to see. All right. So now let's say we're developing our project further and we want our Java program. Did we run that? Let's go ahead and run it. And it says, hello world from Java and Git. Let's have it also now say goodbye. So we'll get back into our program using Vim or VI. And we will add a line. And then we'll do another system out print line. And we'll say goodbye. Okay, so this just represents making some sort of change to your project. Escape :WQ to write and quit. And if we do git status again, it says, okay, you've now modified hello.java. So it's tracking all the changes we do. Okay, so now let's go ahead and commit this. Let's see, git commit. Message added goodbye to hello.java. Now see, it's telling me here that this isn't going to work quite right. It says no changes added. And so we could either do git add or git commit -a. Okay. And then I think we can do a shortcut. Let me try it. What if we do -am? Will it take that? Yeah, it did. Okay, so there's a nice little shortcut. So commit, add, and have a message. And let's see where we're at in the status. See if it did do that. Nothing to commit, working directory clean. So that command did work. So we could have done commit, git commit -- add. Let's see, is that the command? No, we could have done git add. Or we could have done git commit -a, or you can do git commit -am to also have the message for your commit. Okay, cool. So that's looking pretty good. What else can we do with this? Well, what if we want to see the change we made? You could do git log. And so there it shows the history. And at the very bottom, initial commit, and then we added the git ignore file, and then we added goodbye to hello.java. So we could see each of these versions that it's keeping track of. And then if we needed to, we won't go into this, but we could go back to an earlier version if we needed to. In fact, I'll show a bit of that command coming up, but let me just go ahead and do one more of the log command. So the log command is highly configurable, and so let me give a few options here and see if these work. Oh wait, not online, but one line. There, okay. Let me try to make this a little wider. Oh, it still doesn't show up right. Okay, well, let's see what this does. And so it, just kind of gave a shorter, nice little summary of what we've done so far. Okay, what if you want to compare? So there's a variety of commands, but the main one you use is git diff. Master -1 master, so that's like comparing one version before to this, and you can kind of see, okay, we added a line, system out print line, so it sort of shows you the changes that you made. And you could say, what about 2back? And we see that we have this the addition of to get the git ignore file added. All right, so cool. And so there's a ton of info on this online, and so you can just do a search for the Git user manual, Git docs, Git tutorial, all that kind of stuff. So this is looking pretty good. Now, Git status one more time. The final thing I want to cover, and this video is getting kind of long, but I want to cover how can you take what you have here and put it up on GitHub. Now, GitHub is a popular web hosting site. I don't know if that's quite the right term, a Git project hosting site that allows you to freely host your projects there as long as you make them public. Now, if you want to keep your projects private, then that means you're going to have to pay them some money. And so, but for everything you're doing as a student, probably just making it public is fine. So where do we go for this? Well, it is right here, github.com. So you need to sign up for an account. So you can fill that out, sign up for GitHub. Like I say, it's totally free. And or if you already have an account, then sign in. Now they do have a special, you might do a search for it, a special package for students, GitHub Student Developer Pack. And that might give you some free goodies, so you might check that out. But okay, I assume now you have a GitHub account. I'm going to sign into my account. And so we can create a brand new repository by clicking this plus button up here. And so I would like to create a new repository, and I'll give it a name. I'll call it Hello Git. Well, actually, I need to match the name I gave it back here, Git Test. Okay, let me call it Git Test. I think it needs to match. I'm not sure on that. It might not. And leave all that alone. Do not add a README file. Do not add a license. It needs to be a blank repository because we're going to take what we have on our server and push it up here, hopefully, if this works. So we'll create this new repository, and it says, okay, push an existing repository from the command line. That's what we want to do. So we need these two commands here. So let me copy them one at a time. Now yours will be different. Yours won't have Prof. Phillips. It'll have whatever your GitHub account name is. And notice it goes github.com/your account name / your repository name. Okay, and so we're going to add that. So I'll go Control-C to copy that. Go back here, and I think we could be within our Git test directory. Hopefully we can. I'll right-click to paste that. So if you're using PuTTY, just right-click. That'll paste whatever's on your clipboard. And let's see what it does. Okay, so it didn't complain about anything, so that's good. And then we'll go back here and grab the second line, and this is where it actually pushes your repository up to GitHub. Control-C to copy that line. Go back to PuTTY, right-click to paste it in, and enter. And now it wants to know the username. So I'm logged in as Prof. Phillips. So you may need to type your username, GitHub username. And it wants to know your password. And so I need to type in my password. You type in yours. Okay, so it says it's set up branch master to track remote branch master from origin. So origin is what it's called up on GitHub, and master is what it's called on the local machine. And let's see, is there anything else we need to do with this? Let's see, what if we say git remote -v, and so there it tells us about where it's pushing things. And if we need to push something, the command, if we make changes here, we could say git push. Okay, so let me not do that just yet. We'll come back and make a change, but let's go back to GitHub and see if this page here has changed. So what we want to do is just click on Git Test up here. Once again, you should not be Prof. Phillips, you should be your own name, Git Test. But see, now it says, okay, here's our repository. We have this git ignore file, we have hello.java. We could click on either of these files, they're just text files. You could see what's in there. It gives us nice color coding for it. Git ignore is what we have in that file. We could actually edit files right here if we wanted to, but probably you don't want to do that. But you could edit something here or make changes. And you could also take this repository and put it on another machine by cloning it. And so I'll cover that in another video. But basically this is what I wanted to end up with. Let me make one more change to my file. So I'll do vi hello.java. And we'll come in here and let's just add one more file. Or one more line, I mean. So goodbye, so long. Just give us another change, escape, :WQ. Say git status. Says we modified that, and then we'll go git -am quote mark. Added one more line. Uh-oh. What did I do wrong? Git commit -am. There we go. Git status, we're looking good. But if I go back to this page and re-update it, you'll see that added goodbye to Hello Java. It hasn't been updated 10 minutes ago. The latest changes haven't occurred. And that's because I need to add, after I've got everything like I want and I want to put it on GitHub, I need to say git push. And then I'll do the username again. And you can make this so it doesn't ask you every time, but we won't do that just yet. Okay, so type in my password. It's doing some stuff. Come back here, hit get test again, and now we see added one more line a minute ago. If we go look at the file, we see it has the so long line. So it's all working really good. So there's so much more to this. Once again, you'll need to maybe research a bit online about it. But this is just an introduction, a start to how you can work with Git and this version control software right on your Linux server, and then save things up to GitHub, and then in another